France and Fiji, folks, 34-17. France get the job done against Fiji. Weird game where the majority of the tries with these two teams, you would have sort of thought maybe the backs have got a good chance. Of the 5 tries, 4 of them go to the forwards. Some front rowers getting in there, but yeah, we'll go through some key events and stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. I was a bit bleary-eyed by the time this game came on, to be honest. 7 o'clock New Zealand kickoff, but I've been up since like 2:30. So, yeah, I was struggling a wee bit, but I had a wee cup of tea and watched as Fiji survived the first real attack from France, which was kind of 5 metres out, which was pleasing from a Fijian point of view, because as a neutral, what I didn't want to see is France just kind of come out of the blocks, get the crowd behind them and just build some, more than 2 try lead. But Fiji were in no mood to that. Their defence was solid. And interestingly, France keen to opt for threes. They weren't really trying to kind of, just set maul tries all day. They wanted to give Jaminet a bit of kicking practice. He kicks the first one 3-0. Danty wins a big breakdown penalty on Willemse. They get another one, 6-0 France. Fiji lose a line out, go off their feet at the breakdown. France up for another 3, so it's 9-0. Bang, bang, bang. Just kind of keeping the scoreboard ticking over were the French. And he was taking his time with the goal kicks as well. He was seemingly pretty happy to let the shot clock pretty much run down to the red. So, yeah, 9-0 early, almost a point a minute. But 12 minutes, interestingly, when Fiji had a chance, they weren't going for threes. They opted for touch. Willemse again had a big carry, and he had a heap of carries in this game. I think it was 18 all up. They did go close, but Botia knocked it on, kind of close range. And I do think when you look back at this one from a Fijian perspective, just the amount of knock-ons at key times kind of stopped them at times from getting momentum or getting that score that would get them forward, putting a little bit more pressure on. And their set piece a little bit early, the scrum and the line out early on, was letting them down. Line out stats finished okay, but they certainly lost a couple early, did Fiji. But their breakdown work was sharp. Breakdown work was second to none, man. They were winning quite a few turnovers, and then eventually they ended up opting for a 3. I think it was one of Botia's breakdown wins. So 9-3, at least gets Fiji on the board to count for a little bit of the pressure that they have been able to put back on France. 23 minutes, France did have a big attack. Alldritt kind of blew a try, I feel like. He had like 3 Fijian defenders drawn to him as he was charging towards the line, and he had Bielle-Biarrey out on the right wing, who's a pretty nimble runner. Got some gas. I would have thought shovel it right, and he probably goes in for a score, or probably has a better chance than Alldritt himself. But no, and then that man Habosi, the winger, he's able to win a turnover, like just a clean pilfer. So yeah, a bit of a missed chance for France, but they got the first try of the match 5 minutes later anyway. It was Mauvaka who finished it off. It was from turnover ball. Hastoy with the wide ball to that man Bielle-Biarrey, who, like I said, is a pretty agile wee runner. He's a danger man. Big tackle on defence for Fiji, but still quick ball meant that the defenders couldn't get across to the French attackers out left. They even had a man outside Mauvaka. So, yeah, kind of an easy one for them in the scheme of things. So 16 points to 3, starting to look pretty comfortable, but Fiji, man, not giving up in this game whatsoever. And they managed to get their first try of the game. Was it the backs? No, it was the forwards. It was that man, Verhaeghe. If you've watched anything from the Fijian draw this season in Super Rugby, you know that guy is a danger man from close range. And sure enough, he's able to go over after Fiji just put together a bunch of phases. It was just pressure, man. So 16-10, not being bullied up front. That's back to being game on, although they did concede a penalty, Fiji, on 38 minutes, which kind of directly led to the French next try, which was through Atonio. It's a penalty, it's a line out, it's a maul. Alldritt peels off, goes close again, and kind of the reversal of the Ikanavera try. Atonio is able to go from close range. They put a couple of good hits on him, but man, he is just a big unit, and you're going to find it hard to stop him. So 21-10, that's the halftime score. Conversion hits the post. It's the only one that Jaminet misses from that, from that game. But I mean, halftime run meters, France are leading 279 to 162. Possession, France have got 58%. Territory, France have got 58%. Fiji's had to make 81 tackles to 52. But interestingly, Fiji have a lot more ball. in the second half. And as France start to bring on some of the, I don't want to say third string guys, but some of the guys like the debutant prop and whatnot. Atonio goes off. Laclayat, I think his name is. The French come under a little bit more pressure for a variety of reasons, but it's just an interesting one in terms of the shift. Although one thing that didn't shift was Danty off the ball. Jeez, that guy's good at the breakdown. He won multiple turnovers in this game. Immediately from the start of the second half, he wins a penalty at the breakdown, which Jaminet just slots. So score is extended to 24-10. But, I mean, Fiji would start to wrestle the momentum away. But as I mentioned before, knock-ons would kind of kill their momentum. Like Fiji starting to get a bit of pressure. They knock it on to the breakdown. France get a chance. Lucu ends up just hacking the ball through. Mangala at fullback ends up knocking it on. And then there's a scrum, which you're thinking, man, here's trouble for Fiji. But, like I mentioned, with the changes in personnel, Fiji's scrum actually started to get on top. France in the second half had problems at scrum time. So French scrum penalty conceded leads to a bit of Fijian field position, which leads to another penalty conceded from France, this one playing the 9, which leads to better field position for Fiji. And what can they do from close range, man? The forwards go bloody close. They don't want to let the backs have a try, but when they get advantage, they get it to that man, the captain, Randra. And somehow he manages to go through Lucu and Hastoy and just shoots his hand through to dot the ball down. The grounding did look a bit dodgy, but I mean, when you slow it down, it hits enough whitewash. It's close, but it hits enough to be a try. So, well worked. He had no rights to score that try. Radraja is just a genuine danger man, isn't he? So, yeah, that gets Fiji back in the game. I mean, 24-17, but sadly for Fiji, that's the end of the scoring. They needed just, one more score to really put a cat amongst the pigeons, but not quite. Alldritt goes off, which is maybe another reason that France aren't quite able to continue their kind of, possession and whatnot, dominance from the first half. Mauvaka ends up playing in the back row, which is bizarre. Maybe you should play Danty in the back row because he just wins turnovers like mad. But, yeah, Fiji keep winning scrum penalties. It's pretty impressive. And then it's kind of a brutal one for Fiji, I think, because the Makalu try is kind of against the run of play. I feel like France didn't have the momentum at that moment. Fiji are looking to attack. They got a line-out set, and then Lomani's pass just gets picked off. And it's beautiful from Makalu. He has got wheels for a back rower who can play in the back line. So, yeah, very athletic stuff. And that one was kind of the killer punch, I think. I mean, there's still more French play. I mean, Lucu puts on a big tackle on a good attacking Fijian move, and then he gets subbed, and Serran comes on immediately, and there's a big line break. And then France on 69 minutes get their last points of the game when they opt for a three-pointer. I mean, just taking the sting out of the game, really. The end of the game is a wee bit frenetic, frantic, a bunch of Fijian phases. Bielle-Biarrey gets an intercept, but then he gets turned over at the breakdown. So Fiji are just trying to hunt that one more score. But yeah, just the knock-ons in the end, I think, finished the kind of killer difference. So yeah, run meters finished 508 to 366. So France edged that. But Fiji end up with more possession and more territory. So they certainly had a weak crack in the second half. But turnovers conceded is 14 by Fiji to France's 8. 8's pretty sharp. 14's not egregiously high. Like 20 plus is really bad. But 14 is kind of normal. When the opposition is being kind of as clean as France are, it looks a bit lopsided. And clean breaks 6-1 to France. So Fiji has been able to cut teams like Tonga, Japan, and Samoa a bit more up, whereas they found that a bit harder to achieve against France's defence. But France made 160 tackles to Fiji's 111 in the end. So yeah, France doing a lot of defending in that second half. Speaking of defending, Danty, 15 from 15 tackles, pluses like 3 turnovers, 1. Moefana, 66 metres, a clean break, 3 defenders beaten. Alldritt beats 4 defenders before he goes off. For Fiji, Botia makes 13 from 15. He's ever present. Willemse, 18 carries, 60 metres. Caleb Muntz even had 8 defenders beaten, which is something a little bit kind of uncharacteristic for him. It's not really what I think of when I think his game, but, well done to him. France will play Australia in their final warm-up game. Fiji have got a date with England. Remember, if you want rugby gear from many of the Rugby World Cup teams. Level Rugby, check them out down in the description. They're an affiliate of the channel. They've got loads of teams, including the likes of Chile, Argentina, England, Scotland. I'm pretty sure they've got Fiji. So, yeah, check them out. Loads of rugby gear before the World Cup. But, yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Much changed. France still too good for Fiji. Fiji showed glimpses of what they can do, but potentially still a little bit of a gap between them and the teams kind of in the 1, 2, 3, 4 positions in the rankings. But, yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.